I saw something about um like an apartment community like advertising. We have ACE, like it's a huge
It's
deal,
a huge
and
fucking
it
deal,
is.
though. Yeah. Well, the thing is,
Which
in the
is
city, you
weird.
really only get them if it's like 10 floors or higher. Because we have 6 and we don't have air conditioners. We have the portable ones that you can rent, but
It has to be big enough for them to like budget it into the costs or something.
I think like once you cross a certain point, you just know it's going to be hot. I mean, if you're on the 40th floor of something and the heat rises in the building, it's going to be fucking hot.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
You're not getting any shade from anything. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're just beat down.
And if you don't have air conditioning, then how are you going to have John McClane save you from terrorists?
Fucking exactly.
You gotta
That's
be
when you
prepared.
build a building. If you're not pre-planning for John McCain, apparently too.
John McClane.
Yeah, he is a goddamn war hero, though.
He is. He is.
Shit.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yep, that's John McCain's
That's
party
him
line.
in Congress. Voting against something. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. Welcome to episode 8.
Of the Unreasonably Angry podcast. My name is Eric.
And I'm Gary. How you doing, fuckers?
So Gary, this week I got something that's on the old tits, as they like to say.
Okay.
As they like to say. So I don't know if this is something you run into much. It's something that kind of pops up in my life from time to time, and it's kind of resurfaced lately, and it's just fuck. So yes, just fuck. So there's this thing, right? I tend to use a fair amount of language, like just a smidge. You know, I don't cuss. No, I cuss a lot. So there's this fucking thing where people automatically attribute swearing with a lack of intelligence. Now, I don't know if it's something that everybody's experienced. It's definitely something I've seen, I've heard. For example, I had a family member back when MySpace was a thing, that posted an angry message about me when it was like, why do you got to use that kind of language? I bet it makes you feel real smart. And then like the next week, like deleted me and blocked me on MySpace.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't know for the longest time. And it's funny because I still think this person's blocked me on like Facebook now. Like I can't even see them. They're like, my wife will be posting their stuff and like, I'm not attached to it. And I'm like, okay, it's
Wow.
fine. It's fine. I don't take it I mean, I don't take
Because
it
of because of your language?
Yeah, because I said a cuss word once, or I said I was fucking mad or something, whatever.
Wow.
And then I've seen a couple people lately that have posted something along the lines of, studies show that people that use foul language actually are more creative and have a bigger vocabulary. And I'm like, yeah, whether or not it's complete bullshit. Like, I'm like, sure. But it kind of got me thinking about it. And I was like, why would you hear a cuss word if it's not directed at you and get so angry about it? And why would you take the position of, hey, that person cusses, they must be less intelligent or less mature or
just generally lesser.
yeah, I don't get that. Now, I don't know if you've ever run into this, if you've had people kind of go, "Oh, Gary, don't use that language." But it's just, to me, it's like, it's a fucking word. It's still just a word. It's an alternative word.
Fuck is a fucking word.
Fuck is a fucking word, bro. It's like that old Monty Python skit. I mean, all the variation, the uses of the word fuck.
Yeah.
And well, I understand if you're saying it at someone, you know, instead of saying like, hey, you're a real mean person versus, hey, you're a real fucking fuckface. You know, that could be upsetting.
Sure. Yeah.
But I've never understood this. I wanted to get your take on it. I mean, obviously we're 10 plus years apart. I don't know if you've run into this. I don't know if it's something that you dealt with growing up or if it's something that you see on your angel or if your angel, I don't really know what the fuck that was going for there.
Angle?
Sure. Yeah, my brain was like, nah, my gosh, right. But if maybe as time is progressing, like as we get a little older, the people that were really pissy about it are getting older and older and older, so we're not seeing them as much, and the younger generation doesn't give a shit.
Or it's just the people you surround yourselves yourself with
Yeah.
changes. Well, I'll harken back to 6th grade,
Oh, we're hearkening.
which I, for whatever reason, I explicitly remember my first use of explicit language.
Oh, here we go.
Was then. And the reason I remember it was because of the sheer quantity that I used was just excessive.
Like a sentence had like 9 cuss words in one sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just for the fuck of it.
Sure. Do you remember what that sentence was?
Oh, I don't know. I just remember learning every possible. I think it was around when I was still in the Boy Scouts before I quit the Boy Scouts. Just
Your dead
because
mother gets all mad.
Just because that was still like the age where if you like were someone who used foul language, then you were like cooler.
Of course, bro.
Yeah. So I kind of took that angle in 6th grade. And so I remember like learning every possible one I could learn, using it like as often as I possibly could.
Yeah.
And not necessarily around teachers or my mom, but just with friends at school.
See, okay, when you first said
I wasn't like a rebellious, like, emo kid who would like curse their mom out. Like, I'm still a nice, sensitive kid. Like,
yeah.
You
just thought it was fun.
And but here's the thing. I didn't realize how much of an art it is really to use curse words. Like,
that's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, you can use them a lot, but if you use them a lot just like in place of really communicating, like actually like speaking, then it just doesn't, like, the type where it's just like, fuck, I can't fucking do, motherfuckers doing this and motherfucker. It's like, you're just not talking anymore. You're just cursing just to be, I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe people never grow past 6th grade. Maybe people like learn curse words and they're like, oh, this is how I express myself. And then they're like that for the rest of their life.
You know what? You may be onto something that maybe that's what I'm hearing.
Maybe it's
just really quickly. The one I thought you were going to go with was, do you remember was it motherfucking titty sucking 2-ball bitch? I remember when people first learned that one when they were a kid, and I've heard it from quite a few people. That was like the first chain
like specifically those words.
Motherfucking titty sucking 2-ball bitch.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. So I remember people hearing that, and there's probably some people my age out there going, yeah, I remember that shit. But when you hear people speak in a way where it sounds like they're trying to cuss, like they're trying to swear.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. And maybe that's part of it that I haven't thought about, because I don't think about it. Like there's a certain art to, especially with the way that we live our life. Now you're like I am, where we like to talk shit with our friends and we try to come up with creative ways to curse each other out. Like it's fun.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not a new thing. It's not. I remember watching Stand By Me, and there's a scene where they're sitting at the train tracks once they've broken into the junkyard. And I don't know if you've seen Stand By Me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're standing there and they said one of our favorite pastimes was making fun of each other's moms in the most disgusting ways possible. Mm-hmm. And so they'd sit there and come up with different ways to cuss each other out and say nasty shit. So it's been around for a really long time. And part of our group loves to just come up with interesting ways to talk shit to each other, almost at a borderline, like trying to gross each other out. Now, granted, if you were to do that in public around everybody, like I'm not going to do that around my mom, your mom. That's not, no. But if you're doing the group of friends, there's a certain art. There's a certain like impressing each other with the creative shit that you come up with. And you're like, holy crap, where the fuck did that come from?
Well, speaking of the history of it, it goes back to Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Like it's like people have been saying things about each other's moms for hundreds of years. It's nothing new. And the like getting offended about it is, I mean, it's culture that we've been talking about before. I don't remember when it came up before, but just that people tend to get offended by more things nowadays.
Yeah, people are a lot more
just
sensitive.
for the sake of getting offended. It seems like sometimes.
Well, yeah, there are those people that wake up in the morning. The first thing they do is they get up, they turn their alarm off on their phone, and they go, "Hold on, what am I going to be offended by today?"
Yeah, they immediately
I'll
check
find
Facebook
something.
And
they hit up Facebook.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, I would understand a parent,
sure,
like around their kids.
Yes.
I get that. That's like that's one of the scenarios where it could actually say, yeah, I'm sorry, I cursed, and I'll watch it when I'm around your kid.
No, that's
but
yeah.
But other than that, like if you're in a bar or like at clearly an adult place,
Or listening to this podcast.
Hopefully
that Gary's got a fucking filthy mouth.
well, I mean that's why we're doing this in the 8th episode, because we filtered everyone out who's offended by that type of language by now. So,
It's like the beginning of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
yeah, it's like
fuck, motherfuck, motherfuck, fuck.
we're like at the point where it's like, all right, now that all the idiots who aren't going to listen to this are gone, we're going to get down to some real
Yeah,
business.
we're gonna start pissing off our core audience.
Yeah, we're going to see. Now we're going to see who can really piss off.
Yeah, episodes 1 through 7 were like an aperitif. So no, but it makes perfect sense. I think the last time that I got mad at somebody for cussing, it was actually, I was at Disneyland, and I was there with my niece.
Yeah, see,
who
that's
was
the
4
place.
or 5.
Yeah.
And we were waiting for Indiana Jones, because that line always takes fucking 9 years unless you get a fast pass. And we were standing there, and the ride broke, and they sent us away. And so then all these teenage kids were, fuck, this is fucking stupid. Fuck. And I was there with my mom and my niece, and my mom's like, guys, like, there's a kid right here. And they're like, fucking whatever. And I said, guys, like, hey, like, I don't care what you guys say what you want, just wait till there's little kids' ears outside the thing. And it's not that those kids aren't going to eventually hear that word. It's that there's no reason for a 4-year-old to hear that and need to repeat it at 4.
Yeah.
I feel like when somebody's an adult, if you really, like, if something actually bothers you enough that you don't want to have a conversation with someone because they use a cuss word, I kind of feel like that's kind of says more about who you are, and that's your own life. And there's clearly, you got things that are, the things that are important to you are different than what are important to me. And that's fine. You're perfectly okay to be like that. But it's when people go, oh, you must be less intelligent, or why can't you say something different? Why do you need to swear?
Yeah,
that I'm kind of like, what?
judging you. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's like, I don't give a shit that you don't cuss. Like, that doesn't affect me.
Right.
You know, what bothers me more is if you say a word wrong.
And
like, you're okay with someone saying supposedly.
And you wouldn't think, yeah.
But I can't say fuck.
We won't get back into that. But
Not today.
no, and you wouldn't think that someone who doesn't curse is like inherently more intelligent than you because of that.
No, not at all.
So, I don't understand.
I guess, you know what the basic one for me is really what kind of associates with me, and it also kind of ties into the generational thing that we're talking about, is tattoos. If you went back 30 years,
that's similar.
if you went in somewhere and somebody had tattoos, people would just automatically assume different things about people based on the fact they have tattoos.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's really difficult to go to work and not find somebody that has tattoos, right?
Yep.
Now, there are the people that put them way up on their neck or on their face. That's the guy who says, fuck, 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 fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, we get it, dude. You like tattoos.
That's true. The
Your
placement...
personal artistic thing is showing, but now you've crossed over into, dude, what the hell?
Well, yeah, the placement and the content
Yeah.
can definitely change things. But no, it's a choice you made, and it doesn't make you any different of a person. It's just something.
But we've been in such a, I don't want to use the word puritanical, but it's like we've been in such a, I mean, PC is one thing, but we've been in such a safe society, and we've been in such a place where it was not okay. Like, if you look at TV, we didn't have the word shit on TV till what, South Park did it, what, 10, 12 years ago now?
Yeah.
And now people watch Walking Dead and they hear shit 20 times an episode and it doesn't bother them at all.
Well,
but then you have
that's the joke of that is that they're saying shit because they're running from half
zombies.
like decomposed fucking gory ass zombies. So it's like, that's the other thing, is like the double standards of America.
Well, and that's kind of, I mean, part of it, if you think about it, it's not really that way. Like in the UK, you know, like if you watch TV there, there's, the swearing's not as big of an issue.
They don't have
there.
do they have any censorship? I mean, maybe on the news, but not like,
I'm not sure, you know, I don't know enough about that. I mean, I know that there's nudity's less a big deal over there. I know language is a less big deal, though they have some of the best cuss words.
And I think they have less violence, actually.
No, significantly less.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, it's kind of backwards.
It's funny, but their cuss words are like, there are some skilled sons of bitches over there, man. They say some wild shit. And every time I hear them, I'm like, that is amazing. And
they say stuff that
they start rhyming and shit. Oh,
they say stuff that I actually wouldn't want to say on this podcast, which says something.
But no, I
But,
guess that's kind of the same thing. Like people get this idea and go, "Oh, you have tattoos, you must be XYZ. Oh, you cuss like this, you must be XYZ." And while it doesn't matter, I mean, it's not really like the end all be all. To me, it's just kind of funny that we live in a time right now where we get so caught up in making sure that nobody gets judged, that everybody is allowed to be who they want to be. Yet people actually take time out of their life and take brain space to like sit and think about how a person must be since they I can't believe you'd use that kind of language. You sound like a sailor. You sound like a dock worker. Like what?
That is a very good point that you just lightly touched on, which was that we live in the safe space where our children are so guarded and we're so conscious about what we expose them to and everything. And then at the same time, whatever outside forces are affecting your children, that you feel like you need to protect them from,
Sure.
you are judging and you are putting your preconceived, ideas on about. And that is backwards. It's like to protect your child, you have to discriminate other people or you have to judge other people.
Yeah.
To protect them from being judged.
Well, where's the
it's-
line?
Yeah, it's
Where's the line on that?
hypocritical.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing that's funny to me. We've kind of touched on this before, not on the podcast, but in conversations that we've had where I don't know if other countries do it as the way America does. Like we really do it a lot here where we look across the pond or we look to another country and go, oh, how could they do that?
Oh,
that's not okay that they
America
do that.
is judged more than any other country, I'm sure.
That we're judged more?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like think about that whole thing where like when you're a tourist
Yeah.
and you have to be conscious that you're American when you go to like Europe. Like if I step foot in France,
Yeah.
and I haven't even taken like any French classes or I have no idea.
I see that's not
very conscious of like what people are going to think of me because I'm American.
Now my question, wow, we were kind of getting into a spot where we could go off in like 5 different directions. My
that's true.
train station B. The point there would be is that accurate, or do people actually not give as much of a shit as we think they do when we go places? Like people are like, we go somewhere like, oh,
Yeah, we're just being self-conscious.
hope it's okay, I'm American, and they're like, I don't give a fuck what you are, just be a good person. You know what I mean? Like maybe we create a lot of that in our own heads.
Yeah.
We visited Seattle, and when we came up here before we lived up here, and I said, hey, I'm a Californian, hope that's okay. They're like, yeah, so am I don't give a fuck.
I'm still conscious about it.
Yeah, and the thing, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm like, yes, I'm a transplant, but most people here now are transplants. And when I lived in California, there were plenty of people moving from Seattle, so knock it off.
Yeah.
But what I'm
everywhere
talking
else
about,
in the world.
yeah. But my point being on that wasn't actually that. It's, judgment as far as our culture, not just as we are as people. If our tourists have gained a bad rep, I don't know enough about that. That'd be a whole other conversation we could have. But what I mean is we sit around and we talk a lot about they eat this there. Why? How could they do that? That's not fair to that animal. Or they practice this. They shouldn't do that anymore. And we have protests.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing to me is you can't look at a naked titty in National Geographic. Like if your 4-year-old sees that, you're worried because of a boob. There's nothing sexual or inappropriate about that, but there are times where people they actually get upset about that and they want to censor that from their kids. And it's like, dude, that's the whole point. Now imagine if other people looked at us the same way, right? I mean, there's so many things that are lost in that. You know what I mean? There's just unnecessary wastes of judgment when it's like, why don't you just what the fuck am I babbling about?
I don't know, but I'll take over. I think as a whole, and this is like almost just to the point of speculation, just for, I don't know.
We can do that.
Sometimes I just think things and they may or may not be true.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, American society is still kind of trying to figure out what the fuck it is.
Sure.
Like, because you have like European countries and Asian countries who have existed like
Thousands and thousands of
10,
years.
20-fold that Americans,
Yeah,
span.
we're what, 250 years old?
Yeah. And what they have, which we kind of lack and has just become a melting pot, the melting pot thing, is tradition.
Okay.
American doesn't really have its own traditions. It kind of has, well, I mean, it has like Thanksgiving, but it's not like, you know,
Well, and even that nowadays,
That doesn't-
think about it. Even that nowadays, we're trying to decide if we should be celebrating that.
yeah,
You know, there's that group of people out there that it's like,
But-
we shouldn't celebrate that.
but-
That was a massacre.
but like France doesn't go, should we celebrate our independence because we murdered all of the aristocracies? Like they're not confused about things.
Yeah.
And Germany, like, well, interesting thing about Germany is the Holocaust, but I know this is a touchy subject and I'll touch it lightly, but I have seen documentaries, whether they're true or not, or they're biased because they're American made, but they teach the Holocaust and World War II in schools, and they let their children know. They don't try to hide it.
Yeah.
They're not ashamed of it. They want people to know that happened.
Yeah.
And that's important. I mean,
And again, I think
admirable.
Is it, and that kind of goes back to my point. It kind of goes back to the whole point of what we're talking about, the cussing thing. Is it a societal sensitivity that we have where we're just too fragile, where
Yeah.
we're constantly worried that if we do something, if we cross a line, if we bring up a topic, that it's going to hurt someone's feelings or affect them the wrong way, instead of just allowing them to speak for themselves, right? Instead of, if I say, like, if I'm hanging out with someone and we're talking and I'm cussing too much and somebody said, hey, dude, just, you know, I'm just not a big fan of all the cussing. If they said that, it'd be weird, but I'd be like, hey, you know, my bad. I didn't.
Yeah.
Like, there are
If it
certain
makes you
cuss words that I
uncomfortable.
don't say because, again, as Americans, we have certain cuss words we don't say because people get really worked up about them. For me, it's another word. It doesn't affect me all that much.
Yeah.
But if it actually affected someone that I cared about, I'd be like, hey, you know, my bad. But that's allowing them to do that for themselves. You know what I mean? That's allowing them to speak for themselves, which is kind of what your point is at least I'm kind of gathering that, is you give these kids this knowledge, you allow them to get this knowledge and take it and run with it and learn from it, and you're not hiding it. Whereas a lot of times here, I feel like we go, well, if we hide boobies for a long time, or if we hide violence from them for a long time, they won't think about it.
Yeah.
You know, they won't talk about it. And it's like, no, like, I'm not saying you need to show porn to a 7-year-old, but my point is there's a lot of things that you can gain, a lot of maturity that you can gain as a kid from understanding things at a young age and being able to internalize that and move forward with it that way.
Yeah.
So if you're teaching a kid about the Holocaust, while it's a very sensitive subject, they're able to learn from that and understand how significant that piece of history is. My guess would be that I don't really know how slavery is taught in school nowadays. So my guess would be that would be how that would compare. I mean, that's the only thing I could think that
Well,
would...
from what I remember, it's very like matter of fact. Like it's not like it's just, they just point out like that it happened and that, you know, it was part of our history. And I mean, you don't really feel like, I mean, we have movies and documentaries that teach us about the emotional weight of it that I
Sure.
think that you don't get in school.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, maybe that's not for schools to
But that's
put
what
on
you're
children.
saying, though, is you're in other countries, they'll teach in school about the things that have happened there. And here we're very, very careful. I mean, I remember with sex ed in school, it was like there was a lot of pushback in a lot of different areas that I was in growing up that were like, well, I'm not going to let my kid go to sex ed yet, or I'm not going to let them. And I mean, granted,
Well,
that's
it's not even called that anymore. It's called health.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
again, that's all up to your personal parenting style, but
yeah.
it's funny to see that because I don't know that it's like that in other places. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, again, I wonder if it's just that is it as a society, are we more socially sensitive here? Do we take things personally more than other places do, or is it just because that's what we're around that we're seeing it?
Well, I wonder if sheltering, like the amount of sheltering of children now is going to affect how they act and see the world and how they parent. Because, you know, if you teach your child to be afraid of things and to not, you know, seek out answers about issues just because it's a touchy thing,
Yeah.
then, I mean, that's handicapping them in a way.
No, I 100% agree. And I think a big part of that is not being able to just confront the things you don't understand and confront the things you don't know and confront things you don't like. But you're right. We're going to see it going forward in the future, but maybe we're starting to see it now. I mean, this generation of young adults, I feel like, are more socially aware, more socially conscious of a lot of things. I don't know necessarily more so than in the past, but it feels that way because of internet.
Yeah.
Because there were plenty of protests and flower power and all that kind of stuff back in the day, but you didn't have the ability to like reach each other on the internet. But we're also seeing a higher sense of sensitivity in a lot of different areas. You know, you see things where people are a lot more worked up about their kids and like a lot more worked up about this, that, and the other, instead of, you know, I mean, the grandparent stories, like, you know, I had when I was a kid, like, you know, the baby's teeth is breaking through, you rub a little brandy on it, rub a little, you know, whiskey on it. Nowadays, it's like,
Yeah.
you're worried about everything. You're worried about every organic, GMO, gluten. I mean, there's so many things to worry about now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a development that's new because of where we've been, or if it's just a continuation of us becoming more and more sensitive to more things instead of just, you know, focusing on the things that really matter.
Right. I think there's like an influx of just like caring about things more. Maybe that's because of the internet. Maybe that's just because of the way the world's shrinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people are just like us. Like we, for some reason, we care about all of this stuff so much that we made a podcast about it. And we're angry about it.
Yeah.
And so
just don't fucking tell me not to fucking say fuck, all right? God.
Yeah. But yeah, I think so. There's like this, everyone is caring about things so much.
Yeah.
And it's great. But I think
within reason,
what we're getting at is that sometimes it's misguided.
Exactly. There's a difference between caring about something and being like shoving your thoughts and feelings on that thing down someone else's throat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because you care a lot about something doesn't mean everybody else has to care as much as you care.
Right.
Which is basically, I think, a whole other episode if we got into that shit. But
we'll always have episodes.
Yeah.
We'll always have ideas.
But I think you're right. I think that's it. And I think a lot of it is just that. So I don't know, maybe that's it. Maybe people are just, you know, hopefully we'll get to a point. I think we're getting to that point with tattoos, like we talked about, where you don't hear as much grief about it at work. Like my job has a professional business attire, so I can't be showing tattoos while at work. But we have events and things. Nobody judges me because I have tattoos. Whereas 15, 20 years ago, they might have.
Well, I think it's just like, generally like tattoos, blue hair, like,
oh yeah, that's
whatever
everywhere now. Yeah.
Whatever fashion, whatever I think it just takes some time to ease its way into acceptability.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that more after like the 90s have blown over and, you know.
Yeah. Well, that actually kind of brings me to the email that we got this week. We got an email today, and the subject line is "Holy fuck." So
great!
Just jump right into it.
Sweet.
Hey there, Eric and Gary. Big Daddy Long Dick. Oh God, I thought it was Little Dick. Weird. Is back with something that rubbed my tits raw. First of all, I want to say that I've really enjoyed listening to the podcast. Well, thank you. Anyways, going back to something that pissed me off recently. I know you guys talked about Facebook recently, and I mainly use it to keep in touch with my friends, but every now and then I actually open up the app and will just scroll through. I stumbled across something that just absolutely angered me. A video of people saying that parents should not assign their child a gender, but that their child should choose their own gender. Now, I'm not a parent of a human yet, but if it has a dick, it's a boy, and if it's born with a vagina, it's a girl. Why are we fucking with it? What the fuck? Anyways, keep it up. Signed, Big Daddy Long Dick. He's really going out of his way to tell us all about his dick. But, all right.
Yeah, which is ironic given the subject.
So, hey, maybe it's Big Mommy Long Dick.
Yeah, you never know.
So I went back and watched the video. And when I first watched the video, of course, I had the tint of this person's anger on the video, right? I'm like, okay, what were they super mad about? Man, that is kind of annoying. Then I realized on the last sentence of the video, it says, we shouldn't tell a kid their gender until they're 35. And that was the part that was like, this may be fucking satire. So
what?
So I did a little research, and sure enough, it's a satirical website on Facebook that shares these videos. It's called Please Share, which I should have known that by the name of it, Please Share. It's basically like,
Okay.
help us troll.
Yeah.
But so there's two parts. One, we can talk about the gender thing. We can have our opinions on that without getting too political. We're allowed to have our opinions on that.
Yeah.
And part two is that's where we are now, where you don't know if a video is fucking real or not. So I'll let you start number one off, and then we go from there.
The gender part?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, a baby. Do you have a problem with saying it's a boy or a girl when it's born or in the womb?
Problem? I mean,
Apparently,
why should I have a problem with calling a penis?
Well, you don't. Okay, so this is what you said when we were watching the video. Is like they actually use the word parents should be careful gendering their baby. They use gender.
Yeah, as a verb.
You know. So I think it's weird. I mean, and now I'm on my second kid. We're having our second kid. When we went in to get the ultrasound, I said, "Are you guys gonna be able to tell us the gender or the sex?" And they go, "Well, we could tell you the anatomy."
Oh yeah. Okay. So that was part of the video. They were saying,
They can make a guess.
I mean, now that it's satire, this makes sense. But like it said, like when you go in to get a sonogram, the technician will give their best guess.
Yeah.
It's like, guess? Like, what? I'm having to go back from the microphone because I'm
Unreasonably angry.
yeah, because, you know, they didn't put themselves through med school and like hours and hours and hours of training to, you know, identify the fucking reproductive genitals of your fucking baby to tell you if it's a fucking boy or not, or a girl.
So no, I get that if they can't spot the
Okay,
penis,
but-
like if it like hid behind a leg.
No, but
here's
here's the
that's
thing.
not what we're talking about right now.
No, here's the thing. They're using the term gender.
Yeah.
And it's kind of stupid because it is satire. But let's just say
That's what we're talking about, because the thing is, this is a satirical video, but this is a very
but it's
real
based-
conversation
Yeah,
now.
the satire is
Yeah.
based on a real thing. And it's real views that people hold. Oh. I'll make sure and turn my phone off next time.
Yeah. Real professional.
The sound guy has his phone on. There is a difference between gender and gender identity.
Okay.
Or let's just say, like, if we don't even want to use the term gender, let's just say sex.
Okay.
Sex is fucking...
Biological.
No, it's... fuck, what's the word? Binary.
Okay.
It's binary.
Sure.
It's one of two things.
Well, there is the what they used to call it, a hermaphrodite. I don't know if that's the right word anymore. People get all mad.
Oh,
Where
that's
you're born
true.
with both.
Okay, well... just-
I know I had to throw a curveball.
I know. But for the most part, people
one
have
of two
penises
options.
and vaginas.
Yeah.
And that's a fucking scientific fact.
Yeah.
There's no disputing that. and when your baby's brain isn't even large enough to think about anything.
They don't know that their face in a mirror is their face.
Yeah. Like, how can you say that they won't know if they want to be a boy or a girl yet?
Yeah,
And I understand as they get older, the
Sure.
line gets blurrier and blurrier.
Sure.
And as they become more mature, as they go through puberty, those things matter.
Yes.
And those things will shape who they are. I get that.
Yeah.
But when they're a fucking baby
Yeah.
or 3 or 4 years old, they're a boy if they have a penis, and it's my opinion.
No,
And they're
I
a girl
get you.
if they have a
I
vagina.
share your
It's
opinion.
I guess it's my opinion. It's like
You're having to fucking explain that. Hold on, really quick, before you get mad out there. This is my opinion.
but I'm at the same time I'm so
You're confused.
conflicted because why is it my opinion that science is science? Like, I don't understand anyway.
No, but that's I get that, and these are
It's
a
just,
lot
I'm
of
not
these,
even, all of this is not even touching on
the political aspect of it at all.
right and
transgender
and
none of
what
that stuff.
happens when they grow older.
I understand.
That stuff is totally different than what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm strictly talking when they're born. You can call them a boy, you can call them a girl.
Well, that's the part that gets me too. Is
Don't
again,
have to be worried about
I
that.
share your opinion on that. Both of my children are female. I'm going to raise them as girls.
Yeah.
If one day it comes to pass that they don't feel, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But to make it weird for someone that they want to raise their female child, their girl, as a girl and call her a girl's name, that to me seems like an unnecessary waste of time, an unnecessary waste of argument. And it's a quick way to get me to not want to listen to any of your opinions. Because if you're like, are you sure she's a girl? Like, really? Well, right now she's 2. So right now she's a little tiny person, and we don't, the thing is, we don't even dress her girly. You know what I mean? It's not even like, we're like,
She's
oh, you
wearing
have to wear
pants
pink.
and- yeah. It's not like,
And I think it's pretty close-minded to assume with someone that if they're calling their daughter a girl, that you're forcing her into a box.
Yeah.
You're making her. No. A lot of times I'll let her pick out what the fuck she wants to wear, but she has all kinds of stuff that's in, you wouldn't know if it's a boy or girl's clothes. But there's nothing wrong with somebody raising their child with the genetic material, the biological makeup that they were given. If it came out with a penis, I feel like it would almost be more confusing to go, yeah, you have a penis and your friend who's a boy has a penis, but you're going to be raised a girl. Like, that to me almost seems more confusing.
yeah, or like, are you sure you don't want to try the dress on, Jimmy? It might look good on you.
And that
like,
to me almost seems like you're forcing that too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that just seems like such a weird conversation, and I feel like we have
like you
much
said,
bigger
it seems
fish to fry.
Right, like you said, it seems unnecessary.
It's
just,
yeah.
why do we, like, people who make these types of arguments, what I want to, like, when I hear it, what I want to do is go like, okay, what else about fundamental living do you want to question?
Well,
like, shall we, talk about whether an apple is a fruit? Or, like, I mean, where do you draw the line?
Well,
like,
that's really, I think that's
for
kind of what...
millions of years, penises mean boy and vaginas mean girl.
And they still do on basically every other mammal, right? I mean, there's really no other mammal that we go, oh, that's a female even though it has a boy, because I'm not gonna get into identify stuff because it's not what we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking about. Yeah.
And again, this is not my opinion on that. Do whatever you need to do. Like, I'm not. Yeah,
we can't emphasize how that enough that we're not talking about the political side of it.
But the part that I think is really funny is the type of person that would have this argument with you is the same person that would say things to you like, you're privileged. You don't have to worry about this because you're privileged. And I always think to myself, how privileged and nice must your life be that this is the time that you have? You have enough time in your day to sit around and argue about something that has nothing to do with anything. You know what I mean? You're not struggling for food. Well, you're not struggling to find a job. You're not.
They would argue that they fully realize the privilege that they have too.
And so because they have, usually people
this
going
is a whole other discussion.
Yeah, but my point is the type of people that would. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Privilege isn't like.
I don't want to generalize. My point, what I'm saying is though.
No. But what I mean is privilege is not like a mythical, magical unicorn.
No.
It is true. It's a thing.
Of course, but no, that's my point. Is with what we're talking about right here, the type of person that would say to you, Gary, you're not worried about that because you're privileged. That's what I'm saying.
Or because you're a boy.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're a white male, you're privileged. You don't have to worry about these things.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I go, hold up. Me being a white male shouldn't dictate my thought process on anything. I mean, I understand that my experiences may be different than someone else, but for you to tell me that I have privilege when you have enough free time in your life to sit around and think up fucking arguments about calling a pee-pee and a hoo-hoo a girl or a boy, like that to me seems like you clearly have a lot of free time too.
Yeah.
So before we start casting assumptions on Gary has this opinion because he's a privileged white male, like that just seems weird to me.
Well, it's like I don't feel comfortable with just these random people on Facebook changing these huge things about humanity just because they think that it's the right thing to do. Like,
that's the thing.
Let's change everything we think about, gender and sex because I have nothing better to do.
Well, that's my point. I'm not saying
I haven't talked to a scientist. I haven't talked to
exactly.
I haven't read any books about it. I haven't gone to school for it. But I had nothing to do
somebody else
on
say
a
it
Saturday
on
on Facebook.
That's my point. I'm not trying to say that there's not a privilege, and I'm not saying that those people don't have an ability to say to you, hey, you're privileged, you may not see things the right way. If we're talking about something where it's like, hey, you may not understand civil rights of another group, or you may not understand what it's like to be homeless you've been very privileged. Fine, whatever.
Well, it's true.
Those are.
I mean,
I'm not discounting that at all. What I'm
Right.
saying is usually what happens is in these conversations when these opinions get brought up on our side or your side, when you go, well, this is just my opinion, it gets cast aside as, well, it's just because you don't understand because you're privileged. And that's the part what I'm saying is anybody who says that to me, I'm always kind of like, I wasn't even thinking, like, I wasn't creating arguments. You created an argument. And I'm giving my opinion based on that argument. And then you're saying that my opinion on it is invalid because of...
And your opinion, I mean, the opinions you hold are also, they're educated. I mean, they're not facts because they're opinions, but they're educated opinions. Like you're going off of something.
Yeah.
And like for someone to say that it's just wrong because of who you are, like...
Well, lucky for you and for me, I think we're in the same boat where I kind of just... If somebody says that my opinion is less valid because of XYZ, especially if they don't really know my story, I just tell them to fuck off anyway.
Yeah.
That's it for me. I go, well, fuck it. If you're not going to listen to me because you think I've had this fucking fairy tale life, then okay.
What's the point of the conversation?
We're not having one anymore.
Right, exactly.
Which brings us to the second point. It's so hard to tell what's real and what's fake now.
Yeah.
It's so hard to tell when you're being trolled. Like, when I first saw the video, I totally bought in because I'm like, what the fuck? Really? Is this really happening? And
there are people out there that are going to buy into that video. And not
so
think
if
it's satire.
you're not an intelligent person who creates their own thought process and actually sits and researches things before forming an opinion, those videos are rough, dude. Because if you think about it and you're like, I don't really know how I'm supposed to feel. Think about Coney 2012. Okay.
Oh.
That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But when that happened, people shared the videos and people went fucking apeshit, right? Like and it's getting worse and worse. That was one of the first big ones that I remember being like, what the fuck's going on? Why is everybody freaking out?
You know why I was confused? Because I was like, did people not know that there were warlords who were employing children to kill people in Africa? Like, is this a new thing?
Yeah.
I'm confused. Like,
well, that's the point.
People are just becoming aware of this because of this guy making videos about it. Like,
and then when's the next video that makes these people that don't think for themselves go, oh, I'm supposed to care about that now? Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think it's great. It kind of goes back to your point from before we started this part of the conversation. It's great that people care. It really is. I want people to care more about more things.
That's not a bad thing.
But make sure you're taking the time to know what you care about. Like, do the research, think about it. Like, sit around and go, hey, let me Google this and find out some information from more than one source so that you're not just spewing repeated bullshit that you heard on the internet, because God knows it could be a fake fucking video.
Right.
It got Big Daddy Long Dick to send me an email before he realized it was fucking satire.
But I mean, like we said, if it's satire, then it's based in some reality, because that's what satire is. And it's, I mean, so you got to look at satire and go, who are they satirizing? But just
no, I think it's a good conversation. It's a fun conversation. Hopefully, it came across that way. But no, I mean, it's a good thing to do. And these are the kind of conversations that I hope people have. And hopefully when people are listening to these podcasts, they go, holy shit. And then they notice the next Facebook video that pops up. They're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And hopefully they say, what the fuck is that?
And And I mean, if you're sitting out there and you're offended by anything that we've said, then, what do we say to them?
I mean, you could say either email us or go fuck yourself.
If you think we're wrong about something, or if you think we're coming at it from like an unjust angle, then let us know and we'll talk about that next time.
Yeah,
but, we just, we talk about things from the point of view that we have, and we form our opinions over what we've gathered from our own lives. So it's, I don't know what I'm getting at. I gotta bring the piano back
I'm all
though.
for it, dude. I'm all for people changing my opinion. I'm all for people sending me, give me an idea to think about something that I hadn't thought before. That's the fucking best part.
But I think the danger is, like you said, not talking about it. And just like letting your own opinions form just for yourself without talking to anyone. Then, I mean, that can be dangerous. It's like leaving like the stove on in a house and you don't have a carbon monoxide detector. Like, you're not going to be able to tell. You don't smell it. You're not going to know until someone lights a spark. And I know that's a pretty gruesome metaphor, but
No.
It's what I mean. It's like if you just let your own thoughts boil up in your head and you don't realize until someone else sparks them that they're...
But if you don't have the conversation, that spark never comes. And that's
Exactly,
really it.
yeah.
Just have the
you
conversation.
need to talk to people about it.
Yeah, and if you don't like their swearing, just tell them.
And talking to people on Facebook and commenting on videos is not talking to people.
It is not. Don't get in an argument with somebody
That's not
Poughkeepsie.
that's not having a conversation.
No. God.
That's episode 8. Thanks for listening. You can subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, Pocket Casts. We're on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and catch us on, like us on Facebook.
And if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, or want to write in for a topic like Big Daddy Long Dick, you can email us at unreasonablyangrypodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, I'm Eric.
And I'm Gary.
Stay angry, fuckers.